Welcome to Zen Footsteps. My podcast is designed to invite you to explore new perspectives and challenge the way you see the world. Through engaging conversations with thought-provoking guests, we're going to delve into the idea that you can transform your thinking and inspire personal growth. From redefining success to uncovering unconventional paths to fulfillment, each episode is a step towards expanding your mind and embracing the journey of discovery. So join us as we walk alongside innovators, thinkers, and change makers who can help you see life in a whole new light. Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Zen Footsteps. Today my guest is Ryan. Now, Ryan says he's always been passionate about lighting and wellness technology to optimize human experience and performance. So his background in tech began with a built environment, simplifying complex technology to make it accessible, personalized, and mainly fun and seamless. It's part of everyday life if you can do that. After a successful exit and move to a new country, so he came from South Africa to the UK, he began searching for a way to keep learning and evolving and to building all of the knowledge he has of his 20 years experience. So through a new partner and collaboration, he discovered a very powerful biohack to unlock extraordinary human strength. And it's really amazing because it sparked him with this new chapter in his way to focus human optimization and longevity. So today he's a co-owner of this amazing company. I'm going to say only, I can't even say only because it's a fantastic company. It's called OsteoStrong. And the center is in the UK, and the particular center I've been to is in Tunbridge Wells. Now, it's a high-tech wellness space where you can help people to build exceptional musculoskeletal strength. So, as a chiropractor in my normally daily life, this is very important to me, and this is why I like sending patients to him. And this ability to do this comes through strength and self-applying strategic stress testing. He's driven by results, and again, so am I. That's why we get on so well. Fast and measurable, lasting, and biohacking is really where health meets technology, and that's where he's really thriving. So if you're curious or interested in innovative health solutions, bone health, education, or collaboration around strength and longevity, he'd really like to connect with you. So Ryan, welcome to Zen Footsteps. So tell me, let's go back. Let's go back to how did life start in all of this prior to you getting involved in OsteoStrong?
Sean, so yeah, when we moved across to the UK, which is close to 4 years ago now, we were looking for something new, something innovative, something we could get excited about, and something we could be, pretty much the first at bringing it to the UK, and certainly OsteoStrong ticked all the boxes.
And was OsteoStrong was a company from where? Where was its origins? What's the story of OsteoStrong?
So OsteoStrong is a US-based organization. Started about 12 years ago by a very innovative pair of guys, John Jackwish and Carl Zagrodzky. And John Jackwish's mother had osteoporosis. And using this technology and this method, he completely reversed his mother's osteoporosis, which is how it began. And then Carl helped him to expand the business. And today there's over 220 centers around the world. I think they're in 14 or 15 countries now. And we've founded it in the UK and brought it to the centre of Kent in Tunbridge Wells.
Because a lot of people, I see this a lot with, you probably know this better than I do, but in terms of bone loss density, it's a kind of a classic. You see this with menopausal, perimenopausal. What's the sort of, is there a younger age group you're seeing it with at all, or is it a particular age demographic?
Jean, definitely. We're seeing a younger and younger demographic, and we're seeing this, OsteoStrong is seeing this around the world for multiple reasons. We're living an increasingly less active lifestyle, a lot more sitting than we ought to be. And our nutrition is not probably what it was 50 years ago. So there are a lot of factors. Also, I think that we're also seeing people are not in the sunlight as much as we used to be, because we're also, as a result, spend a lot more time indoors. So our lifestyles have changed dramatically as well. So I think that those are all contributing factors to a diminishing skeletal health system.
Yeah, I remember as a kid in South Africa, we used to run around a lot, right? We're in the sun a lot and we take it for granted. And one of the things I noticed when I came to the UK is how little people get out. And I don't think it's just because of the weather, because even in the summer I see it. And I think it's more people don't, I don't know, they seem to watch TV more and stay inside more and things like that. And I think the key factor is the vitamin D3. And we know now the importance of D3 and K2 in getting the calcium into the bones as opposed to in the arteries. So that's a massive factor in that. And so if we talk me through, so in South Africa, tell me, let's go back a little bit further because I'm always interested in the person behind the story, right? Because
Yeah.
we get onto the company, but I want to know the meat and grind of you. So tell me about in South Africa, how did your original career start? What was that?
So I qualified as an architect at Wits University in Johannesburg in South Africa. And I did my thesis on lighting. So lighting was always of special interest to me. And lighting in an architectural environment has evolved to really become about not only about aesthetics, but about health and wellness, using circadian rhythms and using lighting that really emulates the way that natural light changes through the day, from the cool sort of greens and blues of the morning to the warm yellows and oranges of the evening, and the buildings start to then emulate that. So that was perhaps the beginning of that transition from understanding lighting and in an architectural environment to lighting in a health and wellness environment.
So did that cover things like, did that cover frequencies, light frequencies in the effect it has like UV and like, because I know that one thing my wife and I realized, and this officer's doing some research, is that that light first thing in the morning and that light at the end of the day, the way it actually affects the your hormones, even affects serotonin levels, dopamine levels. And I don't think people understand the importance of light on the actual human body. So I'm just going to pick up on one thing there because a lot of my listeners don't, they're not necessarily medical. So the circadian rhythm is a rhythm that each organ has essentially, goes through cycles. For example, the one I always remember is the liver. It's about 2 in the afternoon to 3 in the morning. That's why a lot of people wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning is because their liver is in conflict because it's running out of the brain's running out of glucose and it tries to hijack the liver and get something called glycogen to convert into glucose. And of course, that's not going to happen because the liver's going, hold on, I need the glycogen to clean myself. That doesn't happen. So it releases adrenaline. Hey, presto, you wake up at 3 in the morning. So we all have the circadian rhythm. So that's why I was really interested in what you said there in lighting. Can we talk a little bit more about that in lighting on anything that you might know in relation to the health and how it affects us?
Yeah, definitely. So the absolutely, you're spot on, John. The physiological effects of lighting on us all day, every day, is something that's playing out with us without us actually even being cognizant of it most of the time. But so diminishing warm light in the evening brings about the release of serotonin, calms us down, brings us into a sleeping state, which is why it's important that now that we wear blue light blocking glasses in the evening has become a very popular modality, and why we do it now using modalities at OsteoStrong, using things like red light therapy and using PMF therapy, which helps restore circadian rhythms, and also just educating our clients through platforms like this as to what just making good choices to reinforce the circadian rhythm and to have good control of their lighting at home. I think is very important to understand that.
It's quite a thesis then. So your passion was for lighting originally as an architect, or was it? Is that how it started?
That's right. Yeah,
Wow. I mean, Witwatersrand is I mean, it's a great university, isn't it? I mean, it's quite something.
it is. Yeah, I mean, in its day, I think it was one of the best architectural schools in the world at one stage. So has a very good reputation, and I think still today it's a great university with a great history.
So did you think that when you back in those days, did you ever think you'd end up in health and doing something to do to do with bones? I mean,
No, I mean, not at all. I mean, then growing up, I loved architecture. I was passionate about it, and that was going to be my career. And then growing up, then I started a smart building business, which was very focused on lighting control. And that then, as technologies converged, we started doing that in a broader way, introducing how we could integrate sound, lighting, screens, all of those things for a more interactive, fully immersive experience in all sorts of environments, homes, restaurants, commercial spaces, all of those areas, how we could take that to another level. And then when we moved to the UK, it was time for something new. So I looked for something which would marry my passion for lighting and health and wellness. So health and wellness has always been a special interest to me. I've always tried to be at the forefront of staying strong and healthy, and broken many bones in my youth doing motocross. So I think I've broken 12 or 13 bones.
wow.
And some of them pretty nasty injuries. So so it's also a good way to learn about bones.
So was that motocross with trials bikes you were doing and all the...
No, full-blown motocross on
Wow.
tracks racing
Wow.
around the country. And with motocross, as you probably know, it's not a matter of if, but when
It's going to happen.
it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. I know, because I mean, all the other South Africans I know, the injuries they've got from rugby basically tends to be. But I mean, motocross is. I think I'd rather take my chance at rugby than with that.
Yeah, motocross can be brutal. This jumping off big triple jumps
Wow.
at speed and at height. When that goes wrong, it goes really wrong.
And it's a funny thing, isn't it? Because one day, when we have kids and stuff, we don't want them doing that stuff, but we're okay to do it, and they could turn around and they go, "Yeah, but you did it." Yeah, yeah, but that was me. I was stupid. I learned. You know what I mean? So
That's the truth.
it's true. It's coming back to lighting as well. Interesting. I find that again, studies have been done on lighting, that different light creates different mood in people, how it affects the brain. There's a certain fast food chain that should not be mentioned, but it's American. We all know who I'm talking about. And what you'll find when you walk in the front door is that the colors they use, first of all, the red is red, and there's yellow as well, but there's red, which is that it's that quick, it's that danger, it's that action. And then the music is very fast too, because what they want you to do is come in, and they want you in, and they want you out really, really quickly, and that's
That
when I've
is true.
seen it. So even in our practice, what we've tried to do is the opposite, is to put plants in there to soften it and pay people, kind of feel more at home, really.
Yes.
So you came
Yeah.
from South Africa not knowing at that point what you were going to do?
No, no. And then what happened is we traveled to America, to Texas, to visit some good friends of ours. And that was where we found out about OsteoStrong, because
Right.
our good friend there, Sharon, she had completely reversed her osteoporosis doing this. And that was how we first got introduced to OsteoStrong. And her husband had also had some good outcomes doing OsteoStrong. So, um, and I've got, I had a serious knee injury along the way. It's one of the 13 broken body parts. And around that same time, my knee problem really became a much bigger problem. It had been fine for many years, but it had come back to haunt me. And I was keen and I was looking for ways to remedy my knee. So I was kind of on the lookout for something, and then they mentioned OsteoStrong. When we got back to the UK, we couldn't find an OsteoStrong. So that was when we reached out to them and said, where can we where can we find one? And then they said, there isn't an OsteoStrong in the UK, but we are looking for a partner.
Yeah, because your location, I mean, your location is fantastic. I mean, you're literally around the corner from our clinic, but I mean, Tunbridge Wells, it's a great area to have a practice too, and also your practice is in a really lovely street and everything else like that. I really like it. So explain the sort of, let's go through the journey of a client patient coming to you. I've referred someone to you, for example. I suspect there's probably, well, they've even said they've got osteoporosis. Talk me through that journey, because people always want to know, what does it involve? How will I feel? Will there be pain? All of that. Let's go through that.
Yeah, thanks for the referral, John. That's
That's
great.
okay.
So are you're referring to OsteoStrong itself?
Yeah, to
Yeah.
OsteoStrong. So let's say, for example, I've referred someone to you. We've had a conversation, and I say, "Hey, Ryan, I want to send someone to you." They walk in the door. Let's go through that patient journey.
Okay, perfect. So that journey starts off with a consultation.
Okay.
We understand exactly where they've come from, their health history, where they're at, establish that there's no contraindications, and make sure that we're a good fit and that we're able to meet their health goals or help them work towards their health goals. And then the next step is they'll have a coach with them, and very often the first session, because what we do is unique, and pretty much no one has had an osteogenic loading session before. We treat the first session as a free trial session to give people the opportunity to learn about it, understand how it works, why it works, and make sure that they feel that this is going to be a good fit for them. And that's a very quick and easy process. We will then, if they decide to then join up, we will then do baseline markers. So we will then establish their bone strength. We'll do a bone density scan, and we'll do numerous strength tests so that we also know where their muscular strength is, and a balance test. So we've got their starting points, and then they will embark on a program of weekly sessions. They'll come once a week. The session is very quick and easy. It's a sweat-free, pain-free, 15-minute session. And they will have a coach by their side every session, making sure that they're getting the most out of their sessions, that they're making progress, and that they are, and to make any adjustments to their program as they go. And the session, what it consists of is they'll use what we call osteogenic loading equipment. And very simply, what that is it allows people to create high levels of force without the risks that would normally be associated with high levels of force. So you can create high levels of impact force without any impact. So people can get the benefits without the risks.
Yeah, that's always the worry, isn't it? Because people always think about osteoporosis and even osteoarthritis. They talk about, bone fractures, bones breaking, and unfortunately, urban myth doesn't do anybody any good. There are so many misconceptions, out there. And what's quite interesting, again, they'd have to come to see you to see this really, or maybe visit the website, but is how technical and space age the equipment looks. When you go in, it's like I've never seen anything. I remember going downstairs because you've got two levels,
Yeah.
and downstairs, is there some kind of pressure boot or something you've got? Is that right? Did I see something like that?
Yeah. So what OsteoStrong has down across the world is that they've paired the osteogenic loading system with other wellness modalities which amplify the benefits. So downstairs we've got some really great wellness systems. The first one is quite right. It's compression therapy for your legs and all your arms, all your hips, and it delivers very high level compression to improve circulation, lymphatic drainage, release of any tension or buildup in those areas. And yeah, that's a real client favorite because it feels like a really strong leg massage
Yeah, I've
And
seen it. I mean, it looks great, and I also like the fact that when you go it, just so my listeners can get a kind of picture. I've got to paint the picture because some of you'll be listening to this as opposed to watching it on the YouTube episode. Is that the reminds me of really high class spa downstairs because you've got these lounges, haven't you, for people to sit on while they're having that, and then you go upstairs and you go in and it looks like some NASA kind of thing. It's all the colors are really swish and everything else like that, and I don't think I've ever come in there and seen a client who's not smiling, and also your detail, your attention to detail, giving people those sort of one-to-one, the coach. I think that's very important. I think it's something that we're lacking is that one-to-one because sometimes, like if you go, for example, you go to a gym or something like that, you kind of left your own devices, and I think it's really good that you guys do that nurturing side of it.
yeah, so they complement each other very well. So we've got the activation floor upstairs, and then there's we call it the rejuvenation floor. Um, and that's also where we have the red light therapy, um, and as well as PMF mats, pulsed electromagnetic field mats.
So let's go back on that. Only just because you and I understand this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Oh, your camera. Oh, we go. Got you back.
Sorry.
That's all right. Don't worry. So you and I understand this terminology. So let's go through the red light. How does that work? What's the kind of layman's explanation of red light therapy?
So red light therapy, what that does, it's a large panel that emits these various frequencies of red light, and they are very specific frequencies of red light for very specific benefits. So some of them are in the near infrared range, and some of them are in the infrared range, and the infrared is more for skin health. And the near infrared is more deep penetrating. So that's more for joint health, good for joints, good for bone health. And the way that works is it's the science behind it is it's called photobiomodulation, which the nicest way to think about that is it's like photosynthesis for your body.
Oh wow.
It
Okay.
initiates regeneration by improving your energy at a cellular level. So it means there's more energy available for regeneration, repair, healing, and recovery.
So where's the light shines on there? Am I right in saying that obviously we've got blood flow, and that blood flow has got to go through that light, which increases O2 uptake as it goes through that?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. And then that
Yeah. So
obviously the more O2 uptake we've got on a cellular level, the better circulation, the better repair that we've got. Okay.
that's it.
And
Yeah,
then,
you'll be about 30 centimeters away from the panel.
okay.
And then we'll set the panel up depending on what the benefits that you're looking for.
Yeah.
We can adjust the near infrared versus the infrared depending on which benefits you're focusing on. And you're literally just stand in front of the panel for 15 minutes, between 15 and 20 minutes.
Okay.
Is enough, and very good for your eyes, good for your brain. The benefits of red light are immense.
Yeah, I remember once I built a red light therapy room. I just got a pop-up tent that was silver lined and I put some red lights in there. Set and there was like a sun. So the other one we talked about, is it PNF, did you say?
Yeah, PEMF. So that stands
Right. So
for
what's that in
pulse.
layman's terms?
So that's pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. It's not well known in the UK, but very popular modality in the US and in some European countries like Sweden. Pretty much every OsteoStrong around the world has PMF mat because it's a match made in heaven with the osteogenic loading because it's so great for bone health. And the history behind it is it came out of NASA because astronauts used it as the quickest way to restore their bone health. Because, as you probably know, astronauts suffer terribly with
Really badly.
bone density loss on a mission. They can lose up to 20%
Yeah.
on one mission.
Yeah.
So PMF was a wonderful, natural, easy, quick way for them to restore their bone density. But there's a list of other benefits that you'll get from PMF. And our system is a pretty advanced system. It's a system from Swiss Bionic, and we can set that up as well for specific benefits or specific conditions, depending on what you're needing. But we see very good results with PMF. It's also a very popular modality.
So you can tailor then to each client individually. Is there sort of, because each person's individual, right? They've got individual needs.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's some very good programs for, as I said, restoring sleep, for restoring for people who are battling with low energy levels. Very good for stress. It has all the programs help move you from sympathetic to a parasympathetic state. So very good for your nervous system. And the nice thing is you don't have to do much. You can just lie on the mat.
Perfect.
Yeah. And enjoy the experience. A session is anything from 10 minutes to 25 minutes.
Okay.
And the mat has infrared built into it as well, which is to help with the penetration of the pulsed electromagnetic field into your body. And yeah, it's a wonderful, very powerful modality for people with all sorts of conditions.
And if a client's coming to you, is any sort of contraindications that are like really obvious contraindications? Is there anything that you'd sort of say, yeah, come back, but you've got to sort this out first?
For PMF, there are a few. Yeah. The obvious ones are pregnancy.
Okay. Pacemakers
and pacemakers,
yeah.
definitely. And just any kind of nervous system conditions. Okay. Also, some of those are contraindications.
And what do you think's going on with and I would say this in my 30 years in practice, something's going on because we're seeing more and more osteoporosis. I mean, I saw something the other day, for example, that these people were taking sort of weight loss stuff, and that was causing a factor. But something, it's been a long time. Do you think it's a combination of, this is just in our own opinion. I'm just saying from what I see, but do you think it's diet? Do you think it's sunshine? What do you think's going on?
So yeah, I mean, we're living longer. So we're outliving our skeletal system. Our bones are not designed to last a lifetime anymore. So unless we do very specific proactive steps, we're going to outlive our bones. And I think the contributing factors are, we're living a more sedentary lifestyle. We're indoors a lot more, so we're not getting enough sunlight. I don't think our food is as nutrient dense as what it ought to be, and our water, it doesn't have the same minerals that we used to get from water. I think that all of those are factors. And then, of course, the other problem is that our bodies are not getting all low impact activities, no high impact activities anymore. Swimming, all of the even cycling does nothing for our bone health because there's no impact there.
It's true. I wear barefoot shoes. I converted a couple of years back. It was my wife that got me into them, and I can't wear any other normal shoe now. It's really interesting. So when I walk, I feel the ground beneath my feet. I feel every single step. And the first thing I noticed when I put barefoot shoes on, you imagine like if you're in Marseille or something like that and you're barefoot, so when I was walking is how it really ached in my calf muscles because I was walking like our ancestors used to walk. And I was thinking about people in the Victorian times even that they didn't go to the gym because life was the gym. They were tough people.
Yeah,
eh?
that's true. Yeah, I mean, those shoes are a good move because they increase impact. They're not, if you think about all the shoes we wear these days, they're all designed to absorb as much impact as possible. So I was talking to a physiotherapist the other day, and we discussed it's very important that people, when they're doing exercises where they're trying to create more impact, is to either wear, I'm also a big fan of the the barefoot shoes is either use those or to actually take off your shoes so that you can. There's no point in doing high impact stuff in these high, and you're running Nikes, which are designed
Yeah.
to for maximum absorption.
Well, my wife does this. In the UK, we have something called Parkrun. I think it's around the world. It's a 5K thing. It's great.
Yeah,
All the family can go along. And she thought, okay, she's going to get better cushion trainers, wide toe box. And she ran in those. And actually, she was worse off. So she went and started using her barefoots, which is what she normally would do. And she's fine. And I think that this is what I'm seeing with people as I'm trying to get them to understand that comfortable doesn't mean necessarily good. The amount of women I see that literally that their big toe is going over the other one and they have a bunion for the sake of fashion, and then they end up needing to get it broken, shaved, reset. And I just sort of, when I see young people, I say, please don't do that. I mean, fashion is fashion, but I do think that you're right on the mineral. I have a friend of mine who's he started his life funny enough, in South Africa in the gold mines, and he's a geologist, and he told me about the study that he'd done that was in the Times newspaper. It was a peer-reviewed study from 1940 to I think it was 2019, something like that. And it was looking at the depletion in nutrients, and it was really alarming. I mean, really alarming. And I think that even foods. I mean, I was talking about the impact, for example, the other day on one of my TikTok posts, and I was talking about how when you breastfeed, if you drink, say, something like Red Bull or a high energy drink, to name others, by the way, I'm not just going to out that one. It's not fair. But others can be purchased, as they say on the BBC. But basically, if you have one of those and then you breastfeed, that's going to come through in the breast milk. And I think we really need to educate people about this, because I think all of that is playing into, bone density,
definitely,
at the end of
definitely.
the day.
Yeah, yeah. I know. We've got a saying: "No pressure, no diamonds."
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you can put yourself, out of your comfort zone. In many things, it's how we build muscle, but it's also how we build bone. Bone, we forget, is a living, breathing organ,
Yeah.
and unless we find ways to really put that system under pressure, it starts to decline.
Yeah, they've seen it in Neanderthal bones when they've excavated, archaeological digs, and they've seen the density and the minerals. I mean, I don't know if you know, but people didn't realize you can remineralize your teeth. I actually use something to remineralize my teeth, and I also brush my teeth with a probiotic toothpaste. So
Interesting.
there is so many things you can do. So, if you've got cavities, we'll remineralize your teeth. We've too long now just saying, oh, pull it out, pull it out. But the problem is, you say, if you give somebody a hammer, everything's a nail, right? So it's
That's
it's
true.
it's kind of not the solution. So we've come
Yeah.
to you. So okay, so client comes to you. They've gone through that process, and typically, how many sessions are we looking, or is it like a club where you join and you just keep going? How does it work?
So, John, so it depends really what your health goals are. So people come for different reasons. If you're coming, to with the sole purpose of improving your bone health, and let's say, for example, you've got osteoporosis, building bone, especially naturally, takes time. So we always tell people that you would probably have to look at least a 12-month program to see a significant change. And very often people get that. It's taken them sometimes 10, 20, 30 years to get to that situation. If we can restore it in a year, generally they're pretty happy with that. And what we often see is that people then, on your way to building bone strength, you build incredible muscle strength in the process. And with that, of course, comes a whole host of other benefits. Better blood glucose management. You obviously feel better. You've got more confidence. You've got more energy. Very often, people are returning to activities that they never thought they would be able to do again. So it's transformative and life changing for a lot of people. So very often, then they stick to it. And then we've got other sports people who come with a specific goal to go skiing, or they've got an event coming up. We've had a couple of of athletes who have come to us with a specific goal, and very often they'll come to us for that training period, and then during the off season we won't see them, and they'll return again for the build up to their peak season.
Yeah, because I suppose that's something you forget, don't you? You think that this is just about people of a certain age, but actually athletes as well.
Definitely, it's massive. Like we've seen incredible results with athletes around the world. You know, we've got basically what a lot of them do is they plateau at some point, and then they do the research and they realize that their bone strength has become their new limitation, and the only way they can increase their muscle strength is to increase their bone strength. And athletes that have then started doing OsteoStrong have just seen some remarkable results. There's an Ironman athlete in the States, Tim O'Donnell, who started doing OsteoStrong, and 6 months later broke the record in the US, and her coach put it down to starting OsteoStrong. So there's been some, they've seen some really remarkable outcomes with athletes.
Yeah, the sports science has really come on a long way, hasn't it? There's you know, I get people who compete, and I know when something's coming up because they come for adjustments or nutrition advice and whatever. And that's what's really lovely about OsteoStrong, is that it's a symbiotic relationship with osteopath, chiropractor, physio, you know, and things like that. So a couple of questions well, a question that obviously comes to mind that people are going to ask you. Okay, so I've signed up. I want to go on holiday, and I'm on holiday for 2 weeks. Is that going to be okay to have that 2 week gap, or is it like that consistency of a week? Is if I miss 2 weeks, is going to be a problem?
Yeah, we find after you've done OsteoStrong for a period of time, those breaks are sometimes a good thing.
Okay.
Because we find sometimes people even come back even stronger after a mini break like that, you know. So, you know, after they've done it for a period of time. So, so that's not a problem at all, because after all, we're building bone. So, you know, as I say, you've got to take a long-term view on that, and consistency is important. So if you missed, you know, if I'd say if you missed, you know, if you're missing sessions every month, then you know you're not going to get
Sure.
the desired results, or it could take a lot longer. But certainly, you know, you're playing the long game, building bone, and
Yeah.
so it's seldom an issue. It's more important to look at doing it long term and just being as consistent as you possibly can. For most people, because it's a 15-minute session once a week, even the busiest people seem to manage to find a way to fit it into their lifestyle, because it's a sweat-free, pain-free session. So you don't have to change to coming to OsteoStrong. So people come between meetings, they come at their lunchtime, they can do it easily. 15 minutes between other things is quite easy to do.
It's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I know that if I say to somebody, go and do half an hour exercise a day, or even an hour, right? As they're walking out the door, think they're not going to do it, right? But everyone can afford 15 minutes. If you can't afford 15 minutes, you know, something's wrong, right? You've got to invest that, because let's be honest, you could go and have a takeaway, and I guarantee you'll be in the queue 15 minutes, and you'll be then going home and eating that for an hour, and then you'll have the after effects of eating the junk food as well, you know, so which is there. Okay,
It's
so
true.
you've done something really nice for us on Zen Footsteps and at the Vale Health Clinic, and you're offering us a free DEXA scan for anybody who comes via either Zen Footsteps or the Vale Health Clinic. So and I got to be honest, a scan's worth about £120, isn't it? Something like that.
Yeah. So the scan we do is a little bit different to a DEXA.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an ultrasound scan.
Okay.
Which we actually prefer because there's no radiation. The level of accuracy is better, and we do a scan of the heel bone. And the reason that we do the heel bone, it's quick, it's non-invasive.
Yeah.
Your heel has similar properties to your hip, and also you get your results straight away. So our ultrasound machine in the center is a wonderful way for people to
Yeah.
establish what their bone health is, because most people don't know. And for women, particularly women over 50 and men over 60, it's really an important metric to
Yeah.
manage.
That's great. I mean, that's really good, and it's very kind of you, by the way. Thank you for offering that to my listeners and also to the Vale Health Clinic in Tunbridge Wells where we work. So
It's a pleasure.
we have this tradition on the show. I'm sure you know, and please, willing, you've remembered. I ask you because I had a guest. I asked this next question and they went blank. Um, so the tradition is, what's your favorite quote? And possibly why you would choose this particular quote.
So one of my favorite quotes is, "The stronger you are, the harder you are to kill."
Okay. That sounds like a real Afrikaner boykie speaking, eh? Like a Southern Afrikaner boykie or a Zulu, a Shaka. Oh no, I love
Coming from
that.
South Africa, you got to figure these
Yeah,
things
yeah,
out
yeah. Everything's trying
quickly.
to kill us. There's snakes and everything. So
That's
why
true.
why is that your favorite quote? I mean, maybe it's obvious why it's your favorite quote, but what
Yeah, I
inspires
mean,
you
yeah, I
about that?
mean, it is the reality, like longevity is all about strength.
Yeah,
And weak people don't live a long time, that I think is really, people are learning that the hard way, and people are now realizing they've got to be proactive, they've got to take action early on.
yeah.
And a lot of the longevity experts are talking about this more openly now, that you've got to look not how you want to feel next year or the year after that. Like, how do you want to feel in 5 years time, 10 years time, 20 years from now? What condition do you want your body to be in, and what activities do you want to be doing? What sort of lifestyle do you want to have? And if you want to actually get that right, you've got to take action now.
I totally agree. There was a really good study. I think I mentioned in one of my other podcasts, which is they used to think that age was this kind of lineal bit by bit. They now discovered that they did the scientific study and they discovered that age 60 and age 44, there were huge sudden jumps in your health, which is a little bit scary because I'm
Yeah.
actually going to be 60 this week. So,
Oh, cool. Congratulations, Sean.
so I'm a little bit worried. Am I gonna I'm gonna suddenly overnight turn into an old guy, you know what I mean? So
It's time to start OsteoStrong,
yeah,
John.
but yeah, that's gonna be around there. Great. So okay, so let's how do people get hold of you? Where do they come to? How do they call, contact? What are those details?
Great. So I'd say the easiest way to reach out is via email, or they could phone me. So I've got a very simple email address. It's just Ryan at OsteoStrongTW for Tunbridge Wells
Yeah.
.co.uk.
Okay. And
So they can reach me
can they
directly on that.
can they call in as well? I mean, what's the address? What are you based? I know you're in the high street in Tunbridge Wells, but what's the address for that? Do you know?
It's 26 High Street,
Yeah.
Tunbridge Wells. So we're in the old High Street. We're directly next door to the White Company. It's quite a good landmark,
Yeah.
especially for the ladies in Tunbridge Wells. All seem to know that store right
Everybody
away.
knows that store. It's always jammed. Yeah. Yeah.
And so people are free to pop in there. It probably is better for them to reach out to me directly, just to make sure that
Okay.
we are expecting them, and ideally we can even do a phone consultation beforehand, and then set up a free trial session for them is probably the best way. Can also Our website is also a good resource
Hmm.
for more information or to reach us. And the URL is www.osteostrongtw.co.uk.
Okay. That's really nice and easy. I like that because a lot of people have said, how do you get contact? There's some convoluted way to get
Yeah,
hold of you. So
yeah.
yeah.
So the website's a great option as well, because obviously there's lots of client testimonials on there, and more information. And you can in fact book the consultation with me directly from the website as well.
Okay. So anybody listening and watching this, so just either reach out to Ryan at OsteoStrong, and remember to either say Zen Footsteps or the Vale Health Clinic if I've referred you from the clinic. And that'll be the beginning of this journey. So listen, thank you. Obviously, we've known each other for a while, but it's funny when you talk to somebody like this, there's so much more behind the story, right?
That's true.
And it's the
Yeah,
journey. That's what I'm interested in. I mean, everybody can talk about this and that, but I actually like the journey of the person. And it's kind of nice because I feel like I know a little bit more about you. And I mean, especially I've got fond memories of Vitz, driving up there. But the problem was like,
definitely.
yeah. It was going the Jetta, getting on the four ways trying to get
Running
a
the
good,
gauntlet.
yeah, running the gauntlet to get there and get back again out into Honeydew, out in the out in the Bundu, So
That
listen,
takes courage.
yeah, it was good fun. Right, thanks. Listen, thanks
Thank
a
you
lot.
for, yeah, thank you, John. And honestly, we're thrilled to be collaborating with the Vale
Yeah,
Health Clinic, and to be on your Zen Footsteps podcast
thank you.
is a privilege. So
Yeah,
thank you very much.
you're
Very
in with
great.
some great company too, which is brilliant. Cool. All right,
Yeah,
buddy.
we've got
We'll
a
we'll
great
take
team.
care, and I'm obviously going to see you around because you just around the corner
Def-
from me. Take care.
Definitely,
Cheers
John.
now. Cheers. Bye
Thank you so
bye.
much. All right.
Pleasure. Bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.